premium. On the line is Benedict Hernandez. He's the president of the BPAP. Mr. Hernandez, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, we've heard the announcement of Malacanang asking for, well, was saying that work has been suspended even for the private sector, but we've heard of reports of some offices, most especially the BPOs, saying that they are exempt or are not making their employees go home. Is that correct, sir? Can you confirm that?
First of all, nakikiramay tayo sa lahat ng naapektuhan nitong bagyo, and we wish our countrymen safety. Number two, we've been dealing with inclement weather in our industry for many years. And the way we operate is that we do a certain number of mechanisms. Number one, if there are no critical operations, then employees don't need to come to work. IT-BPO has several different types of services. For services that are not critical, then the companies have the discretion to actually does not operate. Number two, for some of the work that we do, they can also support it by work from home. So people are just working from home if that is possible. And for the others that actually do have critical services, like with provider for the client, and we're supporting some of their mission critical services, we would need to actually have those operations running. And typically companies have transportation arrangements. Food is made available in the offices. As far as the assumption that you can force employees to stay or to come to work, stay in the office or come to work, we don't do that. You can't really compel any employee against his or her will. If there is fear, apprehension by the employee, ultimately you have to respect that. We do have occasions wherein it is safer to keep the employees in the office for the meantime, that the weather is not letting up. So that's given as an advice. And for employees that are having trouble coming to work, a lot of our companies, what they will offer is a pickup van service or bus service, so we can actually get them to work safely.
Okay,
but just to clarify, safety is number one, very foremost in all of our companies' minds, so we would never compromise on safety. The clarification brought from Malacanang is we've managed past incidents in a certain way. How do we manage this one given the pronouncement? And what we heard was that clarification from Undersecretary Valque, that you have to guarantee safety, which
right.
we are all number one of, is safety for us. And number two, to provide a premium. What we're doing now is seeking clarification about the definition of that premium with Undersecretary Valque and Malacanang.
But have you received any information about offices under your umbrella that are not making their employees go home even after the announcement by Malacanang was made?
Right. The not making go home is something that we need to verify. If there are specific ones, they can report it to us because we want to check it. Typically, when you have cases where employees are advised, because again, you can't really compel any employee against his will to stay at the office. Normally, that advice is given, again, if it's just more difficult or even more dangerous to actually go out at that particular time. So if you're in a location that's safe in the office, sometimes companies would advise it's better to stay at the office than just to go out, especially if there's no way for the employee to go home in a safe manner.
But if they were advised not to go home for their safety, can they still be compelled to work since they're be staying at the offices anyway?
Right. Typically, that's, in the BPO environment, there's really very little compelling that goes on.
Okay.
Because employees actually have been doing this for many years. And if employees actually don't want to work, they can opt not to work. Fortunately, in most cases in the BPO environment, they understand in situations like this, we have to help each other out. So what happens is, if there's high absenteeism, which is a typical impact, that means the ones that are left at work typically exert volunteerism, to try to actually carry the load or the work for the rest of the team. But then you can't really force or compel anyone to extend extra hours if people really want to not work or go home. That is their right, and we've always respected that right. So we want to actually clarify that there's no forcing that we do, and we're very compliant with labor laws, and employees are number one for us. But fortunately, you also see a lot of employee volunteerism in such types of situations. So that typically works. You don't have to compel anyone.
Can the BPAP give penalties to those companies or agencies under your group that are not really adhering to that kind of regulation of not compelling employees to go to work if they don't want to?
Right. Well, at the association level, in the many years that we've been operating, in case there are reports of some practice, we go in and try to help resolve the situation. Fortunately, that's been very, very few and far in between. The typical grievance mechanisms reside, A, within the companies, and B, as being pronounced on media, and there being even a landline to call if they wanted to actually report incidents to government or the Department of Labor and Employment. So those are the typical mechanisms. Now, there's a few that are reported to the association. Grievances are normally managed within companies. And then there's a few that some employees will actually ask the help of Department of Labor and Employment.
Okay.
But we're very happy to help drive compliance to all the rules and regulations.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying a lot of issues there. Benedict Hernandez of the BPAP. He's the president of the BPAP. Thank you very much for talking to us.